Alright guys, welcome to Daddy Daughter Survival. We're going to have ourselves a little video. We're going to discuss as far as for survival. We're going to discuss one of the main things you need, which is water. Now, whether you're prepping or a bushcrafter or a hardcore survivalist, it does not matter. The rule of thumb they generally talk about is a gallon per person. Okay, so a gallon per person would indeed keep you alive. Now, the problem with that ratio is a gallon per person. If you're going to be doing hard, strenuous labor, humping through the woods, digging holes, working the garden, stuff like that, and depending on the outside temperature, that all changes on how much water intake you need. My recommendation for stuff like that is to go with plan to have about 3 gallons per day per person. Now, the problem with that is water is heavy. And I think, 1 gallon is 8 pounds, I do believe. So you think of that, you're carrying an extra 24 gallons per person. Now, trying to get through the bush with an extra 24 gallons per person is going to be extremely rough. But we have to have water to drink. Now, if you are going through the bush and you're not carrying that, then you need to set your route accordingly, so there are places you can refill your Nalgene bottle, your canteen, whatever. But a lot of people think about, I'll just, I'll have the rain catch, or I'll be using the gutters on my house and filling up totes and containers and stuff that way. You also need to think about, what do I do if, what if there's a drought? What if it's during the winter? Will my storage containers freeze? Did I bury the storage containers underground? There's a lot of things you need to think about when it comes to that. Now, that's talking long-term survival. Frankly, my idea of long-term survival is we have several wells on the property, and we can even go back to the old-fashioned days of a bucket and a rope to get the water out of the wells. But no matter what, we have to have water. We can go a while without food, but we can't go very long without water. And like most preppers and stuff like that, the other thing you need to think about is the food that they have prepped. What is it? Is it rice? Is it the rehydrated meals? Is it, the freeze-dried meals? All of that stuff needs water. You have to have water to bring it back. So, let's say you take your normal household right now. Look at your water bill and see how much you use on water. I think last month alone for my household, with the washer and dryer, and you got to have the dishwasher for the wife and stuff like that, and I think we were somewhere around 1,800 gallons, give or take. And our water bill's about the same every month, so we're pretty steady with what we do. But if you think about it in that sense, then take that 1,800 and look what you're doing for the year. It'd be extremely hard to collect that much water to keep all the modern appliances going. That's hard. So what I recommend is you get the electrolyte tablets. And I don't want to be 100% on this, but I think I'm correct. Out of 1 gallon of water, you should do one replacing electrolyte tablet per gallon of water. And it depends on which ones you buy when it comes to that. Like, I have ones you just put into a water bottle and shake it up, and there it is. There's other ones that you have to have like a quart of water. It all depends. But water is an extremely important thing, but it's also extremely heavy. So let's say we even go down to let's go with the grid. The grid's gone, everything's down, there's no fuel being made, there's no nothing. And let's say you're lucky enough to live within distance of a lake. And you can go down and fill some 5-gallon buckets up and use a tote to get it back, or garden trolley or wheelbarrow or whatever. Even at that, if you could do, let's say, 6 plastic buckets with lids, that's a lot of weight. And even with that, if you're averaging it out, and let's say you have, like my household, a household of 3, we bring back 6, I still got to go make another trip, because I want to make sure I have enough water for the day for us to drink, us to bathe, wash dishes, cook food. And there's just, there's several different things you need it for. So when you guys are doing your prepping and you're doing your bushcrafting, kind of think about the water intake you do. And then, like, a couple other areas that you could also, let's say, if you were in a predicament and didn't have water, a few places you could check to find water. The back of the toilet does hold water. Hot water heater. Depending on the size of the water heater, you could get anywhere between 30 to, I think the biggest one I saw was 90 gallons. So, I mean, there's places you can look and find water if you set a route that you'll be going by places you can check. But unfortunately, if you're just tearing through the woods, I mean, you're going to look for a creek, a stream, a pond, or something. You're not going to want to go and fill your water bottle up with water that's been sitting there with deer and, all the different animals peeing and pooping in it. You don't want to do anything like that. Sorry guys, sometimes I go out on a ramble, go through different sections. But water is very important. And in our modern day and everything, we take that for granted. Because all we have to do is turn on a faucet. The other thing to think about is also, can we purify the water we collect? Are we doing 8 drops of bleach for a gallon of water and then letting it sit for a while? Or do we have the tablets, which in my opinion makes your water just taste chemically? I don't even know this word. But do we have time to sit down and boil water? Or are we in a fight or flight risk? So there's a lot of things, because in this day and age, you can't just roll up to a pond, fill a glass of water up and drink it. More than likely, you're going to get sick. Now, they do make products and stuff like that where you can store water in and have everything taken care of. That's fine. I kind of like those. I think they're like 5-gallon jugs that go on the water dispensers you usually have in the office. I like those containers for the simple fact they have a really good handle and generally don't leak. But keep in mind, you've got to have the water. And water is heavy. And if you're out moving, you got to carry that water. I mean, inevitably, in a grid's shutdown or into the World Series, sooner or later, your car is going to run out of gas, and you're not going to be able to get more gas. So using a vehicle to go and fill up with water is not going to be something that's sustainable. Inevitably, we will run out of fuel unless we figure out how to get, production of it. So if you're just stuck with the garden cart, I mean, you may be making 2 or 3 different runs to the pond every day. But, and even I know a lot of preppers who have the system set up on their roofs and they fill totes and stuff like that, but even that, I mean, that's not 100%. It's not 100% because you could go through a drought and not get any rain for a month or 2. So I guess in that sense, for long-term survival and you're doing it at home, you would need to have a backup to a backup to a backup, which I still think wells are the best thing in the world, but not every place has a well. Not every place has the old-fashioned spigot outside that you can crank and it dumps water. I kind of feel like I'm rambling now, so I'm going to end this with, remember, stay safe out there, get your kids outside, and get them out running. Daddy's daughter survival out.